unexpected loss. One of Wall Street's favorite parlor games is to speculate about who will follow Warren Buffett as head of Berkshire Hathaway. The excitement will only have grown with abrupt resignation in murky circumstances of one of the candidates to succeed him. News of the departure of David Sicko, chairman of various Berkshire holdings, come in a typically quirky statement from the sage of Omaha himself. Mr. Buffett professed to be taken aback, so were readers, when they reached the bit about Mr. Sokolo's share dealings. In January, he had recommended that Mr. Buffett buy Lubrizol, a chemicals firm. It later transpired that Mr. Sokol had traded in and out of Lubrizol shares in the weeks before coming to his boss with the idea. By the time he did pitch it, he had several $1 million worth. The acquisition was announced on March 14th, at a price well above that at which he had bought his shares. Mr. Buffett said he did not feel his lieutenant's share purchases were illegal and denied having fired him. Mr. Sokol had mentioned that he owned Lubrizol shares when they first discussed the company. No evidence has emerged that he continued to buy or sell after that point. Still, an advisor on business ethics probably wouldn't recommend copying Mr. Sokol. He may have had the final say in whether to bid. That lay with Mr. Buffett, his partner, Charlie Munger, and the board. But he was instrumental in making the deal happen, even leading the early negotiations. In fact, he seems to have been quite persistent in pushing it, overcoming substantial skepticism on Mr. Buffett's part. This is toe-curling stuff from the great investor, who prides himself on fair dealing and likes to stake out the moral high ground. Think derivatives, which he portrays as dangerous weapons wielded by lesser beings, or his tut-tutting over Wall Street's book cookings. Even before this week, the 80-year-old succession planning has looked hazy. There remains two internal candidates who got a lot of attention. One is Ajit Jain, a super-smart, self-effacing Indian who runs the reinsurance business. The other is Todd Combs, a youngish fund manager whom Buffett plucked from a hedge fund to help run the investment portfolio. It's possible that Buffett's role will be split into two when he goes: a CEO for various industrial and consumer holdings, and a chief investment officer for the securities portfolio. The affair will fuel talk that Mr. Buffett's halo is slipping. He has racked up big profits on the investment made with his enviable cash pile during the crisis, including in Goldman Sachs. But even he doubts that Berkshire will be able to match his stellar performance of decades past now that it has swollen to a market capitalization of $12.11 billion. He might want to consider using Mr. Suko's unanticipated departure to shed more light.